Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is February 28th, 2024, and I'm bringing you this very short live stream because Gigantes has spotted Erling Haaland's agents in the city of Barcelona, meeting with Barcelona's sporting director, Deco. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and I am bringing you this very short live stream because we do have breaking news where Erling Haaland's agents have been spotted in the city of Barcelona meeting with Barcelona's sporting director Deco. Now I'm not going to be reading any comments in the chat section like I usually do in the live streams. I already did the podcast earlier today. So make sure you check it out. I also posted a video before the podcast with other Barcelona news. And as soon as I finished the live stream, I realized that there was more news. So this is why I'm doing this second live stream of today. But this is going to be very short just to bring you all the news, especially the breaking news about Erling Haaland. Now let's start real quick talking about Deco and an interview that he gave today, because there were reports earlier today and yesterday stating that Joan Laporta had sat down and talked with Xavi Hernandez and asked him to stay for one more season. And supposedly the vice president, Rafa Yuste, also did the same thing, sat down with Xavi Hernandez and asked him to stay until the end of his contract till summer 2025, because supposedly Barcelona are having a difficult time trying to find a replacement for Xavi Hernandez. As I mentioned in the podcast earlier today or about an hour ago, I confirmed that there was no truth to those reports, that Xavi Hernandez's entourage have completely denied this. They've said that these conversations did not take place, that Xavi Hernandez his final decision is still to leave the club at the end of the season, and that Joan Laporta and everyone else in the club is still with the idea that Xavi Hernandez will leave. Well, today, Deco has given an interview to Mundo Deportivo, not directly confirming what I just said, but pretty much doing so in an indirect way. Now, when asked about Xavi Hernandez perhaps changing his mind and staying at the club, this is what Deco had to say. And I will make this a little bit bigger and take out the logo so you can read it. But Deco said Xavi's decision was his, and if he changes it, has to come from him. If we win the Champions League, we don't rule out talking to him. We will consider it. So again, if we win the Champions League, we don't rule out talking to him. We will consider it. So in other words, Deco saying that no, that conversation has not happened. They haven't asked Xavi to stay. In fact, they haven't even considered for Xavi to stay. He's saying if the club or the team wins the Champions League, then they would consider having a conversation. He's not even saying that if the team wins the Champions League, they will for sure have the conversation. No, if the team wins the Champions League, they will consider having a conversation. So they could even end up considering not having it to begin with. And even if they do consider having it, we don't know what Xavi is going to say. So pretty much confirming what I said earlier in the podcast, that those reports that Laporta and Yuste had asked Xavi to stay are not true. Now, more news, because we do have to talk about Joao Felix. This briefly came out during the podcast, but I didn't discuss it directly. But reports in Madrid are now saying that Atletico de Madrid are going to ask for 70 to 80 million euros for the signing of Joao Felix. Now, this is absolutely insane because, and there's no way that Barcelona are going to pay this. First of all, Barcelona cannot afford 70 to 80 million euros to pay for Joao. So Atletico Madrid insists on that amount. Barcelona are not going to pay that. And this transfer is not going to happen because, again, Barcelona cannot afford it. And even if they could afford the 70 to 80 million euros for Joao Felix, I don't think the club would pay it, because with all due respect to Joao Felix, he is not even worth close to that. In fact, his market value currently sits at 40 million euros. So Atletico Madrid wanting double for a player that is very inconsistent does not make any sense. So what what is Barcelona going to do? Well, Barcelona requests for one more season or one more loan season. They want to extend this loan by one more season. And if they have to, they are even willing to offer to pay for the entire salary of Joao Felix, because Barcelona right now are not paying for the full salary. Joao Felix agreed to decrease his salary to 400,000 euros when he came to Barcelona. Then La Liga decided that even though that's what Barcelona are paying Joao Felix, they were going to still factor it as if it's 5 million, as if Barcelona were paying him 5 million. So Barcelona ended up upping his salary to 4 million. So it's still not his full salary. So Barcelona want to ask for another season, another loan, and they're even willing to offer to pay his entire salary, which sits at 8 million euros. And one thing is for sure is that no way in hell Barcelona will pay 70 to 80 million euros for Joao Felix, because again, first of all, Barcelona cannot afford it. And second of all, Joao Felix is not worth that. I don't know what they're smoking in Madrid, but they are not going to get that. I don't think there's anyone in the world who would be willing to pay that much for Joao Felix. Maybe a club in Saudi, but I don't see any European clubs forking out that much money. So if they insist on the transfer and they insist on that much money, most likely Joao Felix will be returning to Madrid. His contract is extended till 2029. So they're going to have a big problem on their hand, because El Cholo Simeone does not want Joao Felix back in Atletico Madrid, and they're going to have to figure out what to do with him. But there's no way that Barcelona will pay that much. But anyways, let's talk about the news that all of you guys are here for, which is that Erling Haaland's agents were spotted today in the city of Barcelona, meeting with our sporting director, Deco. Now, this news comes from Gigantes, which is run by Gerard Romero, a very reliable source of news in Barcelona and anything regarding FC Barcelona. And his reporters caught this picture, as you can see on the screen, and that is Rafaela Pimienta, who is the agent of Erling Haaland, and right next to her is Maxwell. He is a former Barcelona player who's currently the assistant sporting director for PSG, and both of them were seen meeting with Deco. And as such, the rumor mill has begun to work overtime, saying that Barcelona are working on signing Erling Haaland, since Real Madrid are signing Mbappe, and since Erling Haaland has always been a dream of Jan Laporta. Now, as far as the dream part, that's absolutely 100% correct. Jan Laporta is a big fan of Erling Haaland. He would love to have Erling Haaland at the club, but the reality is that that's not going to happen. Why? Erling Haaland has a market value of 180 million euros. And Barcelona cannot afford that, no matter how many sales they make in the summer. The only way Barcelona would be able to afford that if they sold pretty much every big player on the squad. We're talking about Pedri, Gavi, Frankie, Gundo, you name it. So no way that Barcelona could afford the market value of Erling Haaland. Second of all, Barcelona cannot even afford his salary. It's reported that his salary sits at 20 million. And Manchester City, that's just his base salary. That's not including variables, bonuses, etc. So Barcelona not only cannot afford his market value, Erling Haaland's market value, they cannot afford his salary. So no way that Barcelona could sign Erling Haaland, no matter how much they try to spin that in the media, and no matter how much they try to convince you that that's what Barcelona are trying to do. So you might ask, well, what was Rafaela Pimienta doing in Barcelona? After all, they did meet with Deco. That's not a fake report. The pictures are there. The proof is there. There's video of her leaving the meeting. So Rafaela Pimienta did meet with Erling Haaland. So you might ask, well, why was she there for? Well, we don't know exactly right now. No information has come out, but there could be different motives. First of all, as you can see here on the screen, and I'll make it bigger, but this is the list of all the players that Rafaela Pimienta currently represents. Of course, Erling Haaland is at the top of the list. There's also De Ligt, Mazraoui, Berratti, and the list goes on and on. It's a very, very long list. This is only page 1. There's also page 2. More players. So as you can see, a very, very long list of players that Rafaela Pimienta currently represents. Of course, she could have been there discussing any of those players. Second reason she could have been there, she might have not even been there for any of these players. She could have been there for Maxwell. Again, Maxwell is a former Barcelona player. He's the current assistant sporting director of PSG. And on many occasions, Rafaela Pimienta has acted as an intermediary between Maxwell and other clubs. So maybe Maxwell was there on behalf of PSG. Maybe he was there trying to, I don't know, offer a player, or maybe offer to buy one of our players. And Rafaela Pimienta was there to act as an intermediary. That's another possibility why Rafaela Pimienta was there. The third possibility, it could have been just a meeting. Sporting agents meet with club football directors all the time. They just, they sit down, they discuss the market, they discuss players, they discuss market values, etc., etc. Sometimes these meetings are just to discuss things. It's not necessarily to conduct any business. In fact, Rafaela Pimienta was seen at the Bernabeu a few days ago. So she could have been just sitting there meeting with Deco to see maybe there's anything Barcelona need. Hey, do you guys need help with anything? I'm here. Or hey, let's talk about the market, the conditions of the market. There's a myriad of reasons why Rafaela Pimienta could have met with Deco. But one thing is for sure, that is not going to be because Barcelona are trying to sign Erling Haaland. Again, Erling Haaland has a market value of 180 million. Barcelona cannot afford that. It's impossible. They cannot afford that. They can't afford his salary either. So we'll have to wait and see what the club's version will be as far as what took place in that meeting. But one thing is for sure, again, Barcelona are not trying to sign Erling Haaland. Not because they don't want to. Anyone would love to have Haaland. It's just simply not possible. Anyways, thank you all guys for watching and for tuning in. Make sure to like the video, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, I did have the podcast earlier today. Check out the podcast. I posted a video before that too with lots of good news. So check all of them out. Lots of news today out of Camp Barca. Barcelona doesn't sleep, and as such, I cannot sleep either until I bring you every last bit of news. So thank you again. Have a good night. And as always, Visca Barça.